Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at XRP. This is going to be a lower time frame video. We do have our higher time frame video up above, so check that out if you haven't already. It will give you great context with the moves that we're going to be discussing today. Okay, so let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so within the bullish count here, what we were talking about previously was looking for the potential that we could be looking to extend, but we actually came down too deep here already. So there is still potential here that we could have this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and still looking for this possibility of a fifth wave to the upside. Now, this would be valid for as long as we hold this low here, which would be sitting towards a 71.28. If we continue to hold this level, we could be looking for this fifth wave to the upside. Now, what we need to be cautious of here is looking at the purple fib levels here. These are relationships of this compared to the other wave one lower down there. Now we have actually come up to this 1618, so we need to just be cautious, because sometimes if we do get a nice strong move up like this, we can get a truncation here. So if we actually start to break down and lose these lows, it could actually mean that this fifth wave ends here. So we're gonna have to just keep an eye on this with our counting, because this could effectively mean that we start our next wave 4 count from this point here. Now the alternative here is that we could still be looking for a fifth wave to the upside. 113 to this 101 is going to potentially be our fifth wave target. We also do have this 0.382 up here towards this 89 cents, which is going to be a key zone that we could look to get a rejection off of. Now, as well as that, higher up here we have this target box between this 108 and this 94.368, and what I'm looking for in here is towards the top end of this in our fifth wave box. We do have a series of weekly and a monthly naked points of control up in this level. So if we do see price come up into this zone, it would be interesting to see how we react at these levels, because potentially we could look to sweep these before looking for price to retrace. Now, if we are looking at this, looking to actually extend out here, what we would be saying is that within this structure, we want to see something like this, where what we'd be looking for within this is effectively this is a 1 and a 2. Now, invalidation of this being a 1, 2, and then looking to extend up here would be this 71.25. If we cross that zone, that would invalidate this count. Now, as long as we hold this, what we could actually see is a reversal to the upside, 104 being our target as this third wave. Now, if we do see a 5-wave move up to the zone, we'd be anticipating an additional 4th and a 5th, which could look to push us into the higher end of this box. $1.12 to this $1.07 is going to be our zone that we could actually be looking for here as a fifth wave. Now, if we wanted to argue that within the structure previously that we're not going to get this move to the upside, and actually we're still looking to extend directly, where this actually becomes a wave 1 to the upside here, what we could be looking for is something more along these lines here. Now, what we'd be looking for here effectively would be saying that this move here is actually completed as a 1 and we're looking for a wave 2. Now, if this is the case, what we could actually have there is this could actually become our A wave, this could become our B wave here, and we could see this C wave to the downside. So I would still be looking at this potential until we actually cross this zone of this 94.76. If we fail to achieve that and we do start to reject down in a bigger way here, preferably in a 5-wave structure, what I would be looking out for would be this possibility of coming back down to this 59 cent 84 as a possible 1-to-1. Also within this zone, we have our 61.72 and this 60.37 being our golden pocket, as well as that, you know, higher up here, if we were going to see a truncation here, possibly this 50% could be quite an interesting zone as a retest of this low. Now, if we did come down deeper here, once we start to lose 54.93, it starts to become less likely that we're going to see this continuation to the upside. So this is looking at this move as actually saying, instead of this being 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're actually looking for that direct extension from this point here. But already this wave 2 is getting quite big here. So if this is the case, it's just not as likely if we start to take too long with this move developing here. So the whole idea here that we are looking for our bullish scenario, if I come back out here onto the 4-hourly, is looking at the potential that from further back here, what we do have is a series of 1s and 2s, where this is 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we'd have to say another 1, 2 here, and effectively we're looking for these internals. So we have hit this 1618 of this as a wave 1. So what I'm looking out for here is if we fail to hold this level here of this 4th wave, or alternatively we see another 3-wave move down here if we've truncated, what this could mean is this move could actually be completed already. So if that's the case, what our next zone would be looking for that bullish count to actually maintain would be this area here, where we would be saying what we have here is this as 1, 2, this is our 3rd wave into this high or alternatively into this high. If we do get a truncation, then we'd be looking for a 3-wave move to the downside. Now the key thing here is I don't really want to see this come down below the 65.29. So with this count, as long as we stay above the 65.29, we could potentially still see an additional 5th wave up at a later point, even if we do get something like this as an ABC to the downside. This would make a lot more sense if this is actually completed into this high here, because then the time relationship between these two waves would be potentially a lot more similar than this and this currently. So we need to keep an eye on it and see if we do manage to hold this 65.29, then possibly we do have that potential for continuation to the upside. Now the key thing within this is what we'd be saying here for a bullish count is that we'd be looking for the potential that within this, like I said, we've got 1 2 1 2 3 4 5, then we'd be looking for an additional 4th and a 5th and additional 4ths and 5ths after that, because we'd still have this additional 1 2 here if this is the case. So going to be on the lookout for this idea that, you know, possibly we could still see this continuation up here, but we just need to be very careful here, because within our bearish count, which we talk about in our macro video, what we were talking about is the possibility that, you know, this move could just still be either an A, a B, and a C, and we still look to push down, potentially moving down at least towards this zone here of this 0.2871, or alternatively 1-to-1 would be down here towards this 1370. So we need to be very cautious of that idea that these sorts of things can still happen. One of the other things that we talked about within that video was also the possibility of something like this as a triangle. So if we do fail to push up in this impulsive way, we need to just be very careful that we don't actually just start to break down for this E wave, which the typical target would be here, this 49972, this 4204 as a common E wave target. So we're going to have to just be watching this. If we fail to hold those key levels as support, possibly we could start to see this move either come down in a 3-wave move, or alternatively start to break down in a bigger 5-wave move if we're looking at that C wave to the downside. So going to be very important on the shorter term here whether we manage to hold these support ranges here. Like I said, we could still be extending out directly here, in which case then we'd be looking for 4th, 5th, 4th, 5th, 4th, and 5th once more. But if we start to lose some of these key levels, particularly if we are looking at that idea that you know, possibly we are already completed this 3rd wave here, this 65.29 is going to be really as deep as I want to see this come. Invalidation only comes at 54.63, but once we start to lose this 50%, it starts to become very unlikely that we're still going to see this continuation to the upside. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that these are still moving up, and this one was a lot narrower, indicating that there was going to be some volatility. Now we have actually lost support to this, but we are still above this S1 line. So if we do see price look to continue to hold this level, possibly what we could see is either a retest of these central lines and then a rejection. Alternatively, we could look for a reversal to the upside. Now other possible targets to the upside still for today are this 8578, we have this 8975, we have 9825, and also within here there's this 9428 hidden in there. Now if we do start to lose this S1 line, what we could see is potential to come back down towards some of these lower targets, such as be the 7305, we have 6902 and 6461 as possible targets for today. Now price can always look to move through these, but these are just potential pivot zones within the market if price moves into those levels. Now having a look at the weekly pivot points here, what we can see is that we are currently still above these central lines. If we do see price come back to the downside here, potentially we could look to retest these between the 7353 and this 7056. So we'll be keeping an eye on this as a possible support zone. If we do see price come back down into this level, and then we look for something like that as a 1 2 3 4 5, that would align with that idea of having this come back down as a bigger wave too. Targets to the upside for as long as we are above these is this 9771, we have this $1.20, we have this $1.46 as potential upside targets for this week. Now as well as that, to the downside, what we have as potential targets would be this 4910. If we start to lose those central lines, we have this level here of this 2339, and then all the way down here we have this last one towards a 00558. Now, we don't always have to hit these targets. These are just potential pivot points if price does move down into these levels. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.